We always felt like we were a forgotten country.
I remember that day, they took one of my friends that were staying in a compound.
They recruited Sierra Leoneans, young boys and youths, capable men. You have a wife, you have 4 or 6 kids who go to school. You are not even making an equivalent of $100 a month.
The UN says it's lost contact with another 200 peacekeeping troops in Sierra Leone. Rebel leader Fode Sanko denies they're being held by his men.
The war had started. It actually started as a result of what was going on with the civil war that was already raging in Liberia. What happened was African heads of state, West African heads of states, were looking for a country that was strategic enough to serve as the headquarters for the peacekeeping force that was going to be sent to Liberia. When the peacekeeping force started to assemble in Sierra Leone, Charles Taylor, who was the labor leader in Liberia that was responsible for what was going on there, made a threat that he was going to let my country, Sierra Leone, get a taste of the bitterness of the Liberian War.
The former president says he had little first-hand knowledge of the war in neighboring Sierra Leone as he was busy running his own country.
Charles Taylor started to send his rebels into Sierra Leone in small numbers, infiltrating our country. They recruited Sierra Leoneans, young boys and youths, capable men, because what happened was, once they captured them, they had a choice. Either join them and fight for them, or they're dead. Even if that was me, if I'm given the choice, I'd rather fight than get killed. So once they recruited Sierra Leonean, internationally, it was now seen as a civil war, as opposed to an invasion from the rebels' leader in Liberia.
In 1999, the rebels actually entered the city, and my experience was very, very sour because they entered our compound and they placed me under gunpoint at some point, and they accused me that I am like a government supporter, I am a government soldier, and I had 2 guys with RPGs on my head, and they had to give me some good beating. And I remember that day, they took one of my friends that were staying in a compound that was very big. They took one of the guys and they took him far off with the intention of killing him, and he escaped. He came the following day, and these guys came at night the following day. They fetched my friend, took him across the stream. One of the incidents that happened was they break his first leg. He was stripped naked. After a while, they break his second leg. They practically killed him by part, and then he was left unattended.
Sierra Leone has been like this, meaning a difficult place, lack of advancement, lack of medical care for many, many years. And there are people who have lived like this for all their lives. They don't know how to change. The good news about poverty is that it pushes you towards God. So when you lack and you don't have options, you tend to pray more. The bad news is you're just poor. You're not able to do a lot of things.
Economic life there is very, very difficult. It's almost impossible to live there. Those who are poor basically die when they're sick. Even if it's an illness or a disease that can be controlled on a regular basis by a single pill, they will die. If you don't have an employment where you have direct access to stealing money without getting caught, you will never be able to buy a car, let alone build a home. You have a wife, you have 4 or 6 kids who go to school. You are not even making an equivalent of $100 a month. You get paid, and if you're a good manager, you might stretch it for 2 weeks. Well, what happens for the other 2 weeks? Kids that are there now being just the kind of street punk that I used to be. Some of them, it's not because they want to. For me, it was by choice, because I was rebellious, I was full of anger, and my anger and rebellion were consuming me. But some of these kids in Sierra Leone today, they don't have a choice. Some of them, their families have been killed in the war. They really don't have no choice. They have nowhere to turn. They gotta sleep somewhere. So they sleep on market tables and be out in the street plundering whatever they can find, people's fruits in yards, in farms, and going and deliberately in broad daylight stealing for survival.
Churches and non-profits and just Christian organizations, they're doing amazing things with very little money.
I just love the people of Sierra Leone. They are so generous and gracious, so welcoming. There's a simplicity that was just really enjoyable.
One of the things that I noticed when we first got there was how friendly and expressive the people are, and how simple their lives are, and how they find joy in the very, very small things in their lives.
They have so little, but yet they're so you know, almost every one of them was glad to see us, glad to talk to us, glad that we were there. Very joyful, you know, willing to share, you know, give you the shirt off their back. They have so little, I mean, the need is so great, but yet they are so full of joy and contentment, and willing to be open and vulnerable.
As you walk along the streets, you see tons of kids in uniforms that are going to school. There's still a big amount that don't go to school.
Showing those kids love, showing them compassion, showing them what that looks like to really rise up as a generation and take responsibility to help this country get back on its feet, you know, doing the best that they can as far as the way they take care of their families, the way they take care of the stuff we do go in there and help with, just maintaining it and things like that. We're not saying that you're bad, you're wrong, you're, you know, anything like that, but really coming alongside them and helping them to rebuild a country that's very beautiful, full of warmth and joy and great people and wonderful food, and really just coming alongside them.
We also have a school called Eva Houston that has about anywhere between 500 to 600 kids. And we go and we bring school supplies, computers when we can, software when we can. We've bought books for them and built up their small library. And right now we're also working with another orphanage called El Shaddai that we've been a part of, and we've gone and helped them out also. They have about anywhere between 30 to 50 kids that they care for, and they do an awesome ministry. I'm also on the verge of developing something new, and that is a cross between an orphanage and a trade school, to take some kids out from the street and teach them a trade, to be a car mechanic, a carpenter, maybe learn some computers, agriculture or poultry. So those are the 5 things that we're going to focus on right now, and we're trying to develop the resources to do that. We're trying to buy land, we're trying to build so that we can, again, talk about the dream of training our young people. I think that's one of the practical ways that we're trying to do that, is by taking our young people and teaching them how to be productive members in the society. If you're learning carpentry, when you're done with us, when we've taught you how to do it, is to also train them in how to walk with Christ, train them how to be responsible individuals, but also give them a toolbox so that when they're leaving, they have the tools to actually go and start a small business, and maybe even give them some seed money so they can invest in a small business. And so if we do that to 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 young men, that's just going to start to influence people and show them that, you know, begging is only going to give you very little, but if you have a small business, it will give you so much more. And not only can you help yourself, you can help some other people who are around you as well. So that's my dream right now for the future, and I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to how God is going to take that to influence and help the country somehow. Every time we go, and every time we take a team, every time we take resources, they tell us, they've told me this many, many times, they say, every time you come, you're reminding us that you have not forgotten about us. Again, forgotten country, small, in many, many ways insignificant, but when we go and partner with them, we're sending a huge message. We're saying, no, we have not forgotten about you. No, you're very, very important. In the eyes of God you are, in our eyes you are. And they're just beautiful, wonderful people who I think life's circumstances sometimes just squeezes the joy out of them. And so many of them have thought that way for many, many years. And it's going to take slowly going and teaching and encouraging and helping for them to see that. But we have not forgotten about Sierra Leone. We will continue to serve